Mentalism is an implicit art. It's really cool to experience, but it can be pretty boring to watch. But it doesn't have to be. In Explicit content, the whole book was about making mentalism visual so that it could be seen by more people. So the one person who's helping, the participant, experiences it, but the entire audience gets to see it. Well, that book was just the tip of the iceberg. I've got some explicit footage for you now. Tome is my approach to the book test. I know the world doesn't need another one. There's almost as many versions of the book test as for our ambitious card routines. But the difference between Tome and every other book test that I've ever come across is that Tome is a visual. Everybody gets to see the revelation happen. Rather than having somebody think of a page or a word on a page and then, oh, it's Jacob. And just going for a revelation like that, which is how a lot of book tests are done. You know, oh, I see a J, an A, a C. That's boring. It really is boring to watch. So why not take the core effect, the revelation of the page, and make it visual? That's all I did with Tome. The beautiful thing about Tome is its practicality. It can be done almost anywhere, at almost any time, with almost any book. There are limitations, but for the most part, you'll be able to do this effect anywhere you go, with minimal setup. It takes 5 to 6 seconds to set up once you get good, and at the end of the routine, you're completely clean. They can examine the book, the page, they can examine you. There's nothing to find. And you're still only 5 seconds away from being ready to do it again. Looks pretty creepy, huh? I love this effect. I will do this almost anywhere I go. I have books set up all over the place at different people's houses, in offices. I've even set the book up in a bookstore and left. Come back a week later, pulled it off the shelf and did it for somebody. Oh, it kills. It's absolutely incredible. The first thing you should know is that it is a thread-based routine. The type of thread that I use is invisible elastic thread. I buy it from Miguel Masica. It's a high-quality thread. It's got a very high elasticity and a high tensile strength. But best of all, it comes in this handy dandy little container, this little dispenser. This is the most practical thread dispenser I've ever seen. So, you gal, you're a genius. This is perfect. Now, the way the thread is set up is in what's commonly known as a loop. Finjon developed these years ago. Masika bought the rights to them to manufacture and sell them. They have revolutionized thread magic as we know it. So if you want, if you have some loops lying around, you can skip this whole part of the DVD, but if you want to learn how to tie your own, it's really not that hard. Unfortunately, it's hard to see invisible thread at the best of times, let alone on camera. Even though this is shot in high def, my camera still isn't going to pick up this thread. So I will use, instead of thread, this giant length of shoelace, and instead of the wax that we're going to use, some silly putty. You'll see how this comes into play in a second. Ultimately, what you want to do is you want to pull the thread out from the dispenser. Ball the wax in. So you've got the wax on the end of the thread. So far, nothing all that complicated. Now you want to pull out about 8 inches of thread, and you want to drape it over your wrist and then work the wax back into the thread. And just break it off. I know you can't see that, but ultimately what you'll end up with is a loop of invisible elastic held together by a ball of wax. This isn't a loop yet. Now we go for the visual aid. This is what you have. What you're going to do is you're going to stretch the thread and pull it up between your first finger and thumb, pinching it. You're going to wrap it around your fingers so it's hanging like this, and you're going to, this is where it gets a little bit complicated, but your middle fingers are just going to go in under the thread, and you're going to pull that wax knot through. You're basically just tying a square knot, and that's what you'll end up with, hanging from your wrist. You pull the knot tight, and then just pinch past the knot and break off the wax piece. That will essentially be your loop. This will snap up to your wrist, stick there, and it's a loop of invisible elastic thread, and it's essentially a loop. However, if you can obviously see it, because it's an undyed thread. This is the magic trick. A Sharpie pen. If you take the loop and hold it around your fingers like this, you'll be able to see it, and you're just going to color the thread like that. And you'll watch it disappear. It's really cool. You can take that, put it on your wrist, get rid of the Sharpie. You now have a loop ready to go. The book can be pretty much any book. I try to stick to paperback novels simply because the properties are basically they're small enough that they're not going to break the thread, but they're big enough that they're not going to cause the page to pop out prematurely. You can try it with a textbook or with a hardcover book. It'll work with almost any book, but the paperback novels really are the best. Now, to prep the book, what you want to do is find a page somewhere in the first half-ish. It can be really anywhere, but for this book we'll use page 95. Now you want to start to tear the page out from the top to the bottom. but don't tear it all the way out. Leave maybe an inch, half an inch to an inch at the bottom, so the page is mostly torn out. Fold that page down so it flops out of the book and let the book close. Take your loop and wrap it around the book. Make sure you get the loop down around the middle of the book. You want to make sure you get the loop down around the middle of the book. That's going to give you a little bit more control over how the page tears out later. Now, open the book up flat and lay the page back down, lining it up with the page below it. So in this case, page 97. Once you've done that, let the book close. What you'll have is a book with a page in the middle and a loop wrapped around. This is prepped and ready to go. The page isn't going to come out prematurely. The thread is tight against the book, so it's not going to be seen, it's not going to catch on anything. So you can put this right back on a shelf or wherever. I'm not going to tell you how to perform it, but you get the idea. The book is prepped and ready to go. Now, the next step is you have to get them to think of the torn out page. Well, this is really fun. All you're going to do is a riffle force. Oh, I should obviously point out that your book should have the page numbers in the upper corners rather than the bottom for this to really work, otherwise they'll see blank. So you just grab the book and riffle and have them say stop whenever they want. That torn out page will act as a short card, so you'll get it automatically. Once they, and do this with your head turns, so say stop, bang, they see the page, let the book close up. Now, I really like to stress the fact that my hands are empty and I drop the book to the floor. The reason for this will become apparent in just a minute, but you're done. The page has been forced, you're essentially clean. Now we're going to freak them out, we're going to cause the page to tear out of the book. The actual revelation, the page tear, this is where you're going to have a lot of fun. You have a lot of control over how the page comes out, how fast, how slow. The reason you leave the portion, the untorn portion at the bottom of the force page, remember that, is so that it doesn't go sailing out. If you want, you can tear the page completely out, lay it down, and go on and do the routine exactly as I just described it, except when you do the revelation, the page will come out and all the way out. So if you want, you can have it violently rip out and sail across the room. That's up to you. I personally like it to be a little bit slower, a little bit creepier, and having that anchor allows me to have more control, having that untorn anchor. Now, the reason I dropped the book on the floor is simply because I'm working with thread. And thread, as a lot of guys know, is a very finicky thing to work with. Guys are afraid of it because they're afraid it's gonna break or it's gonna be seen. Well, the thread's obviously not gonna break. It hasn't broken yet, so don't worry about that. But as far as it not being seen, lighting is your biggest concern, as well as background. What I found is the ground, the floor, whatever it is. Doesn't matter if it's a sidewalk, if it's grass, if it's the tile floor in a mall, is the best background. It will always disguise the thread, period. Plus, it gives me a controlled stage, a controlled environment. If I drop the book and I say, hey everybody, check this out, and I hunker down, they're creating the shade. So there's going to be no thread seen. No light can reflect off of it, and there's no contrast. The ground is the best disguise, and having them shade it, it's perfect. Plus, it's a really spooky thing to be a part of. if I take the book and I drop it on the floor and I'm down on one knee and I have everybody crowding over top of me, watching it, it's like a seance. It's really creepy. Try it. Anyway, you want to see how to get the page to tear out. Well, the book's on the ground. You've shown your hands empty. Pick the book up one more time, and all you're going to do is bend it like this. Just a little convex bend, which allows you to get your hand under the thread. You can do 2 fingers, 3 fingers, your whole hand, whatever. Just get something under the thread. Now lift your hand up. So as you pull up, the page will slowly work its way out of the book. Now you have to have a real steady hand and be really slow. If you're not, it'll come out too fast. But you can hear the paper rubbing against itself. Sounds like paper tearing. Once the pages come out as far as it's going to come out, you can let the loop go and you're clean. And all you have to do now is tear the page the rest of the way out. You can show them the page, give it to them. And now, to clean up the book, you reach down, you grab the book, and as you're opening it to the page, you're just going to get it around your hand. So I'm looking for page 95. There it is. I open it up, and I show the torn out page. But I've already got the loop back around my hand. I've just scooped it off as I open it up. And I'm set to go again. Well, not really. I've got control of the loop, but it only takes like 5 seconds to reset. I can put the loop back around, open it right back up to the same page. Now I can lay the torn out page in, just like I said before, and close the book up. And it's reset. Well, that's it. That's Tome. I hope you like it. I hope you try it, because this kills them every time. This is a monster routine. Practice it, treat it good, and I guarantee you'll always use it. So come back next time when we take a look at Benz. Mentalism is an implicit art. It's really cool to experience, but it can be pretty boring to watch. But it doesn't have to be. In Explicit content, the whole book was about making mentalism visual so that it could be seen by more people. So the one person who's helping, the participant, experiences it, but the entire audience gets to see it. Well, that book was just the tip of the iceberg. I've got some explicit footage for you now. Benz is a collection of 3 of my favorite coin bends: the bouncing bend, on contact, and the shades change. All 3 of them are showstoppers. All 3 of them are pure sleight of hand. And all 3 of them are downright devious. It's also the name of the bender I use. You gotta see these things, seriously. Check this out. All three of them, I promise, are stone cold killers. The bouncing bend, the shades change, and on contact never fail me. They're incredible. And wait till you see how they're done. You're going to love them. But before we can take a look at how they're done, we got to take a look at the hardware. The Benz bender. Oh man, are you going to love this thing. It is quite possibly the world's smallest coin bender. In fact, it's so small, it'll fit on your keychain. Literally. That's it. That's the Benz bender. Looks like a key, doesn't it? Because it is a key. In fact, it's two of them. Hinged together at the top. That's it. That's the Benz bender. Have a good night, and we'll see you later. Nah, I'm just playing. The Benz bender, this is one of the beautiful things. You can make this at home. Just go get a couple of keys. You know, find something with the slot in the head big enough to take whatever coins you want to bend. Make sure the coin's also steel or a very solid metal. Even though physics is on your side, you don't want to be using like an aluminum key. They'll snap and you can cut your hands. Nasty. And then some electrical tape and some heat shrink tubing. That's it. Lay the keys on the tape so that the heads are touching and start taping them up. Both sides. Fold it over. Make sure that it'll fold over. Open it up. Make sure the tape's all tight in the crease. And then put a sleeve of heat shrink tubing over the heads of the keys. Heat them up so that the heat shrink tubing starts to shrink. Fold the keys over so that they line up just like this, and continue to heat. Once the heat shrink tubing's, well, shrunk as far as it's going to go, you've pretty much made yourself a Benz bender. All you got to do is take an X-Acto knife and cut any excess off at the base of the key, around there, and there. And then cut out the slot so you have a place to put the keys, or the coins rather. That's it. There you go. This is so you can put this on your keychain, have at it whenever you need it. It's small enough to be finger palmed and used real time. Finger palm bender, take whatever coin it is you're going to bend from the spectator. I'm using pennies because if I have to shoot this a bunch of times, it could get expensive. This is just finger palmed, or the penny. Now what's going to happen is you're going to have them sign the coin and try and bend it or whatever. They can't do it. You take the coin back, and as the hands come together, you're going to slip the penny into the head of the key. The thumb is going to start to open. Now, the trick here is you want to keep your first fingers together so that they don't see that. From the front, they can't see it. It just looks like you're gripping the coin. You're going to slide it in and start to open it. Your left thumb or your other thumb is going to come through, regrip that key, and they're just going to pry apart. That's it. Doesn't take a whole lot of pressure, a whole lot of effort. That's it. It's done. Now you're just going to let the thumb slip behind the key, and let it close up. From the front, again, they can't see that. You're going to steal the bender off. Keep doing this. The hand with the bender drops out of sight. That lets you keep the coin, which is already bent, but you don't want to reveal that yet. You can just hold it like that and begin to rub. Boom. It's bent. The beauty of the Benz bender comes from the ability to be able to bend coins as you need them, whatever coins are available. If I'm at a restaurant and I see somebody is paying and they get a couple of quarters in their change, I know they have quarters. So I'll take out one of mine, bend it, bang, go and lay it on them. Now that you've learned how to assemble your Benz bender and you've bent a few coins, let's take a look at the actual bends. We'll start with on contact. It's a really basic bend. I taught it in explicit content a bunch of years ago. It creates a really startling visual to a layperson. To a layperson, they see the coin just sort of melt around your finger as you stroke it. It's really creepy. To start, on contact, as with all three of these, you're going to need to bend a coin. I'm using a bent quarter. You can either classic palm this, finger palm it, or finger clip it in your left hand, or right-handed if you're right-handed. Extend your hand, have them place the quarter on your other hand. Say, watch really close. Now this whole thing happens really, really fast. Well, let me rephrase that, really, really smooth. What's going to happen is you're going to bring your hands together to apparently stroke the coin. But what's actually happening is your thumb is going to come up slightly so that your hand comes in and jars. That jarring action, it will actually propel the coin up the sleeve. I'll try to do this exposed. Now that was way exaggerated, but you get the idea. The coin has been sleeved up the sleeve. And at the same time, I'm just going to drop that bent coin. So it gets sleeved, I drop the bent coin, and I just bring my finger back to reveal. Now I turn my hand over and I drop the coin. That cleanly displays two empty hands and a bent coin. So one more time, the coin is clipped or finger palmed, and this hand is just at rest. You ask for the loan of a coin, they place it on your hand, you make sure it's in the middle of the palm, and as your hand comes back, you just raise the thumb slightly. This hand comes up to meet, and they kind of jar together, propelling that coin up the sleeve at the same time dropping the clipped coin. The hand draws back, and the fingers slowly spread, revealing the bend. Immediately the hand turns over, and you drop the coin into the other hand to really enforce the idea that the hands are empty and it really was their coin that bent. The bounce bend. This one kills them every time. It looks sleight of hand free because the hands are open and the coin is out of your control, seemingly so, the entire time. It looks like your hands are empty before, during, and after. It really looks like the coin just sort of bends in midair. It's really cool. The bouncing bend. Just like before, you need a bent coin, and this time you have to classic palm it, because you're going to be using cap subtlety to hide that coin. So I classic palm in my left hand. I'm going to turn slightly to the right so that my cap subtlety is effective. I'm going to borrow a quarter, place it onto my right hand. That's what they see. Empty hand, flat quarter. Now you're going to toss it to your fingertips, and they see an empty palm or an empty hand and their flat coin. Now you're going to hold that coin back with your thumb, and you're going to toss the bent coin out of classic palm. So now the bent coin is in view. The flat coin is held back. Here's where you're going to clean up. Both hands are going to turn over again, and this hand is going to turn over and just throw that coin right up the sleeve. Pew! This hand is just going to turn over and dump its coin into this hand after it's thrown its coin up the sleeve. So watch. From here, that gets thrown up the sleeve, that gets dropped into the hand. And then you keep tossing. And they'll swear, because there's no opportunity for sleight of hand, they'll swear that they saw the coin bend in midair. The shades change. I published this originally in X-Rated. Didn't get a whole lot of attention there, but those that did see it really liked it, and they liked it a lot. I think you're going to like this rehandling more. The original shades change was completely one-handed, and it was really clever, and it was quite an eye-popper, but this new version takes it into a whole different level. I mean, your sleeves are rolled up above your elbow. The coin bends and your hands are empty. It's awesome. Seriously. To do the shades change, you want a bent coin finger palmed. That's all. Now you want to borrow a coin with this hand. So you extend this hand, they lay it on your palm. Now you say, look, and you gesture. This cleverly hides that coin in Ramsey subtlety. I don't want you to think I'm using my sleeves, and you roll your sleeve back. Now here's where the move comes in. You're going to grip the coin in preparation for the Kirk Stiles method of sleeving. That's basically between your middle finger and thumb, or your ring finger and thumb rather, with your middle finger on the edge. But you pick it up from this hand in that fashion. Now what's going to happen is you're going to basically a light snapping action. You're going to press the thumb against the middle finger, and it's going to come off, and that coin is going to sail up your sleeve. But this is the angle that they're going to see. So watch. You pick it up, and it gets sleeved. It's already gone. But now I can produce the bent coin just by opening my fingers, and I roll this sleeve back, saying, look, nothing funny can happen. And you do whatever revelation you're gonna, you can rub it, say, look, it's bending. I actually am a big fan of holding the coin like this, catching some light from above, and then just tilting it down. That way the bend becomes visible and it looks like it crushes right at fingertips. Now your hands are empty, your sleeves are rolled up, and there's a bent coin. That's a pretty killer visual to end on. There you have it. That's Benz, baby. The bender, the bounce bend, the shades change, and the on contact. 3 real powerful bends, 1 killer bender. I hope you make the bender, play with it, you'll love it. And I really hope that you try all of these bends, especially the bounce bend. Go take this out, or on contact, go take them out, they kill. So have fun with them.